So, Jonesy, you know, people are going to be watching this and they might be asking themselves what a good reason to buy in 2023 is.
Yep.
What would you say to those people?
I would say it's always a good time to buy. I would always say that, you know, property ownership or land ownership, whatever you want to class that as, is something that's always going to be an ever consistent. I think I mentioned it on a previous video before that, you know, being very much a DC geek or whatever you want to call it, there's one thing that Lex Luthor always said, and it always sticks there, and that is, you know, my dad always told me there's one thing that's always going to hold its value, and that is land. People are always going to need land.
Yeah.
So when you compare that, it's a bit of a weird example, but believe me, bear with me here.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you can see that your property is there and you can afford it and you want that property, does it really matter where the interest rates are now? Because over the course of a 15-20 year period, interest rates are going to go up and down.
Of course.
With a variant typically of around about 2.5%.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been a little bit more extreme recently, but still, if you can afford it now and it's good advice and you've got the ability to purchase a property, I can't see there's ever a bad time to buy a property. There are better times and there are maybe slightly worse times, depending on, of course, what you're buying that property for. Exactly are. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be living in that property for the next 30 years, does it really matter?
All the fluctuations will come.
Exactly.
We've seen it before, and it's definitely something I think at the moment there's some bits and pieces in there in terms of stamp duty, in terms of where rates are at, certainly stamp duty for first-time buyers. We know that that is a great spot for people at the moment. There could be tens of thousands of pounds worth of savings if you can go and offer on a property that maybe, you know, is up for 25, 50k more, and you get a good offer on it with a vendor who has, you know, a property owner who really wants to make that move, has a desire to make that move. They may be looking at the market and thinking, well, look, we will take an offer on our property today. Couple that with, as a first-time buyer, the opportunity to save on stamp duty. Actually, any sort of cost of borrowing increase that you're going to have could be eaten up with the tens of thousands of pounds of saving that you could have, right?
Easily. And I think this is where people are too quick to criticise the government in terms of what they've done over, say, you know, and there could be arguments, yeah, COVID could have been handled better, whatever. But at the end of the day, when it comes to your markets, purchasing property, you know, and some of the benefits that are available that the government can throw in off the back of that, they're always going to try and make that easier than anything else.
Yeah.
And that will always be the first thing to get us out of recession or get the market back moving again.
Yeah.
And that is always going to be property purchase.
Yeah.
Because that encourages the likes of the trades and everything else like that. So the government are always going to do their best to try and help.
Try and fuel it along.
Exactly. So the discounts on stamp duty, it's something quick and easy to influence, easy to install.
Yeah.
So the government will always rely on those sort of cuts first of all.
Yeah.
I can only assume they're talking to the lenders at the moment, just to say, look, you know, if you look at swap rates, and, you know, we always do.
We do.
And, you know, as a business, and I think, you know, if your mortgage broker is you know, if they're that good, then they should be looking at swap markets to give absolute advice in terms of where the markets are going. And I think when you've got swap rate markets which have been reducing over a period of time and lenders were reluctant, it's going to take someone like the government to come out and say, well, actually, now we need to see some of that being passed on.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're starting to see that now, to be fair.
I think so.
Interest rates are coming down already. I mean, it's gone down by about 25 basis points.
Yeah,
it's
moving in the right way, isn't it?
It is.
I think there's a couple of bits that I just want to mention because it is a market update as well as everything else. But I think one thing we've seen this week is some movement on the EWS1 forms.
Yep.
From lenders, which I know is a very quick point, but this is a great move. So obviously from the fallout of Grenfell, there were some issues around cladding on high-rise properties. We've had some real issues in the market with that. But we've seen this week that Lloyds Banking Group have come out and said, look, we're not going to hold back mortgage offers. So that's a real good step forward for anybody in those positions. So I would always say right now, if you've been struggling or you've been stuck for a lender option for a property, perhaps with cladding, and we've had a few clients like that, and I'm sure there are many up and down the country, not just for our firm, but for many others.
Quite a few properties locally as well.
Absolutely. So I think it's really prudent for us to talk about that today just quickly. But the main thing I'd like to ask you, I guess, to close is, if people are worried, we have got many clients who are worried about perhaps slipping behind on some of their debts and then being able to remortgage next year or be able to purchase next year. I guess, I know you've talked about it, you've worked a lot in this area. What would you say to those people briefly before we close today?
I would say that probably the best thing is to do is to speak to an independent mortgage broker first and foremost, because what you are looking at is a market which is complete. It's a little bit more diverse than it has been in the past. And I think what you are now looking at, more and more lenders are coming back out again, which therefore creates competition.
Yeah.
And if you were to go down the high street and just go into a couple of banks, first of all, you're going to be stuck in there for 3 hours speaking to one of their representatives if you can get an appointment.
Yeah.
So I would say speak to a mortgage broker. Make sure they're completely independent, of course.
Yeah.
Next thing is make sure you've got your affordability right. So you know you're looking in the right ballpark area in terms of purchase price. Next, foremost, I would certainly say just look at where the rates are. Do you want to go short term? Do you want to lock in a little bit more longer term? Because I think if you go back even as 3 months ago, people were jumping on 5-year fixed rates. They're thinking, oh my God, the interest rates are going to go up and up and up. It's never going to stop.
Yeah.
Whereas actually now, guess what?
We're starting to
2-year fixed rate market, even tracker rates are coming back into fashion.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing to be worried about a tracker because most of them come with no early redemption penalties anyway.
Yeah.
But this is where you need to be speaking to a mortgage broker because there are so many different options.
So the key thing then, messaging wise, is if people are worried, if they are concerned, there are lots of mortgage brokers around this country, fantastic mortgage brokers, and the idea is that the banks generally are wanting to use us guys more than people in their own branches because they want independent advice going out to these customers. It's definitely what the regulator would like. Really good, solid advice. We're going to see consumer duty come in next year from the FCA in 2023. So I think it's been really useful today. I think hopefully people will pick up some great information from us. And the key message is speak to your advisor. Let's be excited about what 2023 can hold. There could be some really good transactional property stuff in there.
I think now is the time to be excited because I think we've had a lot of negativity this year.
Yeah.
And I think certainly going out with interest rates coming back down again, affordability slightly being increased by the lenders as well, it's a good time to be out there buying again.
Awesome.
And I think certainly the mortgage brokers are there to drive you and give you the confidence to be able to do so.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Simon.
You're welcome.